Hey, thanks everybody for coming. My comments are really pretty brief. First of all, I came here 7 years ago, and one of the reasons that I did come here was to take a look at the big picture for track and field in the United States. And certainly you can't talk about track and field anywhere in this country without talking about this community, whether it's the OTC or whether it's Hayward Field or whether it's the athletes at the University of Oregon. This is the place where everything happens. And Justice Bowerman uh, put together all of the strands that combine this community and look for the greater good. It's exciting for me to kind of take a look at what these things are going to be that are special about this community and try to build them. And I'm looking forward to looking at the big picture, looking forward to being in a position to work with USA Track and Field's interests and being sure that we're positioned to host whatever events. We do have the World Juniors here in 2014. We have the NCAAs here in 13 and 14. We're looking forward to the potential of hosting the 2016 trials as we work with USA Track and Field. That's certainly not decided yet. But at the same time, no matter what we do in this community, the thing that is the center, the core of what we do is the University of Oregon track and field team. So I'm excited that the man to my left has accepted our offer to be the guy who's going to be leading the U of O track and field program for men and women. I think you'd all agree that he's done a marvelous job since he's been here for the last 7 years. Actually, he was the first guy that I hired on this staff, and believe it or not, stayed with me all this time. So he and I look forward to working together. I'll stay. My position will be continue to be the associate AD, be the administrator for that sport, and to take a look at some of these big picture things and we can answer questions as we go forward. So with that, I'll turn it over to Robert.
Hello, Tracktown USA. Once again, a long time coming. This is an exciting position for me, something that Vin and I have talked about for a while. Really exciting to aspire to some of the previous guys that have been in this position. I like to call them the 3Bs in TV. The 3Bs are Bill Hayward, Bill Bowerman, Bill Dillinger, Tom Heinen, and the V, of course, is the guy sitting beside me, is Vin Lananna, the 3Bs and TV. All those guys have won national championships here at the University of Oregon, and that's one of the things that I, as the head coach here, would love to continue to aspire to try to do. Other than that, love to take your guys' questions and go from there.
Perfect. We'll do Q&A. If you have a question, raise your hand. We have some microphones so that we can get the audio on your questions.
Robert, you see much changes in terms of taking over that job? I mean, do you have some things that you want to do differently or kind of follow what, or what's kind of your thoughts coming into there?
Well, as Vin and I were working out the details of the thing, of course, my conversations with him, of course, he has a way of doing things, and of course, I'm sure I'll have a way of doing things, and those won't always be the same. But there's a great blueprint here. Some of the positives and some of the good things about taking over here at the University of Oregon is that you don't have to prove yourself to the kids. I've been here on the staff for 7 years, and I think throughout the body of work that I've done here, that part of it makes it easy. And of course, Vin brings them in as far as the meets are concerned, and our job and responsibility would be to hit them out the park and do well there.
Steve in the back.
Coach, what is the state of Oregon track and field?
Say that one more time.
What is the state?
What is the state of Oregon track and field? Well, if you look at our history, the men have won 6 Pac-12 championships in a row, and the women have won 4. We're the defending champions headed to USC coming up this year, where the Pac-12 will be held. Our women have been top 5 3 out of the 5 years at cross country. If you keep going on back, our men have won a couple of national titles in cross country. Our women have won 3 titles indoors. Our men have won a couple of championships indoors as well. So if you ask me the state of track and field at the University of Oregon, I'd say it's outstanding.
More questions?
Coach Lananna, I've heard off and on rumors perhaps of an indoor facility. Is that now on your radar?
Well, I think to answer that question, I think I need to put it in a bigger context. I think what's happened in the past, it's been like this position has kind of evolved. So, you talk about facility upgrades, and then you go down and time 8 200s. And then you come back up and spend a little more time thinking about an indoor space and go down and time a few 400s. Then you come back to the office and you come back and start talking about what big meets can we end up having at Hayward Field. And then we go away for 4 days and come back and start over again. So this is an opportunity for us to really look at a blueprint, see what's really going to make sense out there. We have the very best setup that any program can have in the United States. We have a track-only dedicated facility. We host everything, and whether it'll be indoor space that comes along with this, not until we know what the big picture really looks like, and that's hopefully what I'm going to be able to do.
Robert, I think most people associate you with track and field. Can you talk about, obviously, you're going to be the cross-country coach, too, and just talk about kind of what that job means to you?
As far as me personally, I don't think there's going to be a lot of coaching there. Of course, you guys will see later on, we'll do some staff changes or announce some staff changes up with our staff. And those guys that we put in place there, they'll definitely take care of the cross-country team.
So can you announce today any assistants yet?
No.
So you won't be doing you won't be really, you say they'll be taking care of the cross country.
Like they'll be doing the day-to-day coaching, and I'll be kind of overseeing them.
Alex?
Vin, what kind of made you kind of start thinking towards, hey, I should, give this to Robert and go out? Was there like a moment where you were like, I need to, step away and start looking more at the bigger picture, or was there kind of your thought process?
Well, I think to look at there's no single thing that motivated me. I think it's all about when I actually arrived at Oregon, the position was associate AD, and then I was going to oversee the track and field program, and really the day-to-day responsibility of the coaching was going to be left to the people who are really good. And we have a fantastic staff, and one of those leaders is Robert Johnson. So this is the right time to be able to set that up. He's very capable of doing all the things that need to be done and carry on the tradition of, as he mentioned, of Hayward and Bowerman and Dellinger and everybody else. And I think that we're in a position now where we actually can really get these things done that we've talked about. All of you who have heard me in many times talk about the big picture. Well, here's the time to really focus on the big picture. So there's no one time that no one event, no one thing.
Can you talk about, you said you've mentioned before, when you say the big picture, is that the facility, is that the possible world championships, the 16 trials? What is that big picture right now for you? What all's on it?
I think those are all of the above. I think that we'll certainly look at what the facility looks like. I think if you look at the everything that happens in this community, I think has been inspired by the innovation of Bill Bowerman. Everything that we've done has been inspired by him. And I think that if you take a look at some of these exciting opportunities that are before us, the big meets are one, the OTC Elite is another, the facility is another. But, it has to make sense for us. And, the World Championship, sure. If you never take if you don't take a crack at something, it'll never happen. Is that realistic? Don't know. But unless we spend the time to actually study it, we will never know. And it'll be something that's out there forever, and we will have squandered an opportunity.
When you say OTC Elite, you mean kind of an addition or bringing in more? What do you see added to the OTC Elite for the big picture?
I'm hoping that what we can do is more or less continue the great coaching that Mark Rowland has done with the Oregon Track Club Elite. We had great success. I think anybody who paid attention to the track and field portion of the Olympic Games saw that there were so many strands that were affected by some of the work that all of us have done. The Oregon Track Club, the Oregon Track Club Elite, the University of Oregon, our partners to the north. All of us put so much time and energy into this that now it's time to take it to another step and see if we can actually really, really do something big and exciting and lasting.
One for each of you. Coach Lananna, I was going to ask if you will miss the day-to-day interaction with the kids, and then Robert, I was going to ask about the administrative duties of being the head coach. How will that be a change to your routine?
Well, for me, I think that I do plan as the guy who's going to pay attention to the track and field program and oversee that. I do plan to come down and pay attention. I look forward to coming down and watching to see what our staff is doing. So I think that interaction on I don't know, it won't be a regular basis, but on a basis from time to time, I plan to attend a good number of the meets. It's not like I've just divorced myself of the track and field program of the athletes, but in terms of the coaching and the day-to-day stuff, I mean, I think I will miss the actions with the athletes, but I think that missing will be filled with a good deal of things that hopefully we'll accomplish in a short period of time.
It'll be interesting, and when I say interesting, before you just coach your athletes and you kind of manage the team. Now every issue, every fire falls at your feet. You make all the decisions, and in making those decisions, you would like to put good people around you. As far as the administrative part of it, you put good people around you and you allow them to do their work. So I guess what I'm good at is being there with the kids and on the field and coaching, and hopefully with the support staff that we have here at the University of Oregon, the administrative thing will kind of take care of itself.
Vin, will you continue to coach Andrew Weeding and Russell Brown?
I will. Everything is evolving, Kevin. I'm not sure yet. I'm going to kind of take a look at that right now. Today, I'd say absolutely. I plan to continue to do the things that, from that perspective, that I've been doing. I look forward to that. That's part of kind of overseeing that Oregon Track Club Elite, and we do plan to expand that group as well.
Alex in the back there.
Robert, that the list is BBB, TV, and now R. Does that flip you out a little bit when you think about that your name is really on the list? I mean, how much did you get nervous?
Yeah, a little bit. When you talk about head coaching and at the University of Oregon in track and field, it doesn't get any better than that. And of course, all those names there, could be in some Hall of Fame somewhere. Definitely, I don't necessarily know if it's big shoes to fill because I have big feet, but I have high expectations. I plan on keeping myself accountable, coaching to the best of my ability, and going from there. And then hopefully I'll leave it up to you guys to judge where I fall on that list.
Maybe for both of you, I'm just curious, what effect, if any, will this have on recruiting? And I'm just curious, are recruits now, are more recruits coming to University of Oregon rather than you going out and finding those prize recruits?
Well, I know on my end, and when I say my end, I guess I'm basically talking about the track and field portion of it. Of course, we have a heritage and a history here, and oftentimes when I go into homes, the kids often say, why would I come to Oregon? We're a distant school. So on my end, I know over the time that we've been here, it's definitely become easier. Now, is it easy to where we get every kid we want? No, but there's a lot more yeses and a lot more response in knowing what we've done here. There was definitely a time, our first couple of years here, where my ego took a beating, and all the no's, I'm not interested, no, I'm not interested, no, you can't talk to me, no, I won't do a home visit, no, you can't do any of that. So that has definitely gotten easier. So it's exciting on that aspect.
Any other questions?
I think did you want me to say something?
Well, yeah, if you want to address that too.
Well, I think Robert hit it best. I think one of the goals was to be able to, every young man or young woman who's interested in choosing a great academic institution and at the same time pursuing his or her dream as competing at the highest level, will consider Oregon. And, you're never 100% there, but I think that, as Robert said, I think it's a lot better, and I think that kids out there are really interested in Oregon for a whole bunch of reasons, and hopefully that'll continue.
Steve, back there.
Then I'm going to ask just one more question about the big picture. How big does it get? I mean, you talked about the world meet, but does it get bigger than that? And I guess the only thing that would be bigger than that would be the Olympics. Is that something that is in your realm?
Well, I think that I had never really thought about the Olympics in Eugene. But at the same time, I think that the state of Oregon, I would answer that question this way. The state of Oregon has a fantastic niche in the sport of track and field. I don't think it's just about Eugene or it's about Tracktown. I don't think that Tracktown is necessarily a place. I think it's kind of a virtual place. And I think there are things about this community and about the state that really has a chance to reach out and really take a grip on this. And how big that goes and how wide our net is cast, not sure yet, but we're certainly going to give it a shot.
If it does include the state and something like the Olympics, would that be something you'd be part of?
I think that we'd be open to anything that would be a good thing for the sport of track and field and for the people in the state who have really led, have been leaders in this sport. If you look at once again, you go back to the Olympic Games and how many references there were to Hayward Field, to Tracktown USA, to the state of Oregon, it's pretty impressive. And now it's time for us to really try to see if we can capitalize on it.
Molly in the middle here.
So, regarding recruiting, how closely do you look at the football roster, and do you think you'll be jumping into that football roster this spring?
We definitely have our liaisons there on our staff that work with the football and their recruiting staff as well. So there's lots of kids that want to do dual sports, and of course I've been in a few places, and none other better than Oregon that has a track football relationship. And of course we kind of can go all the way back to Jordan Kent and his time in playing football and basketball and being able to come out and run track. You know, I guess after that you go to LaMichael James and Kenyon Barner, and then of course you can stay in the president and talk about Dior Mathis and D'Anthony Thomas. So definitely a great relationship there. I don't know how much you can say about it, but there's continue those ongoing talks in the upcoming recruiting classes. So definitely exciting.
Okay, Dirk in the back here.
Robert, as you step into this role now, what do you consider your greatest challenge to be right now as you head forward?
To keep it afloat, to keep it where we are now. You heard all those accolades that I just talked about. You know, the biggest challenge is to continue doing that. You know, as you can see in some of our other sports, to maintain this level, like I often told Vin the last couple of years, what happens when we're second or third at the league meet? You know, Eugene is going to think that we're the worst thing since sliced bread. And so those are the biggest challenges to keep doing what we're doing.